Hey y'all, it's the Country Notary. Hope you're having a great day. As always, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. This video is only intended for those who are interested in building a real estate investment business. If you're not interested in building a real estate investment business, not interested in wholesaling or flipping or buying rental properties or buying vacant lots, you're not interested in any of that, click to the next video, okay? But if you are, listen for about 5 minutes. You're gonna hear some really valuable information. Yes, it is still a good idea to become a notary public loan signing agent. Become a mobile notary specifically. Today, I'm about to pass my client, so I don't want to look like I'm talking to myself, even though I am. Today, he's on his car was right there. I'm just leaving my signing. About 2 months ago, I met with a couple. They're real estate investors. At the time, I really actually didn't realize when I received that appointment, I didn't realize that it was an investment property. It was a signing that came through a signing service. And I met them at a local Barnes & Noble's at the Starbucks area. We signed the documents, and at that point, he made a comment, and I realized that he was a real estate investor. And I can't remember, maybe it was going through the documents, and I realized it was not a homestead, something to that effect. So after we finished and packed up my notary bag, he had a question. We started talking, and gave him my business card, and I had a couple of questions about investing, and I can't quite remember what my question was at the time, but I'm pretty sure based on what my interest was then, it was specifically about buying a rental property. So he gave me the answer, gave me the information, and he told me about, he was the first person to tell me about the local real estate investment groups and the Facebook groups. And I hadn't been a member of any of these Facebook groups yet. Wasn't real big on Facebook at the time. So I immediately, I'm gonna stop saying the word immediately, but when I got home, I started looking up the Facebook groups, joined several. The one he told me about, actually, they were not even active on Facebook, but they meet in person, which is another story, because he told me more about that today. So I texted him that day and said, I can't find can you send me a screenshot of the Facebook group that you talked about? His wife sent me the screenshot, and as I realized it, they weren't active. They didn't have very many posts. Someone had set up a Facebook group, but there wasn't a lot of activity on it. But we made a connection, and they seemed like really nice people. Fast forward to this past Friday, I was in the middle of negotiating a price with a property owner, and the property owner wouldn't come down on his price, and I wasn't quite sure if the price that was on the table was a good number or not. So I called back my client, and I asked him, as an investor, what criteria do you look at when buying a property? And he gave me a scenario, and he told me about the 70 to 75% rule minus cost. And if the number met those criteria, he would be interested in buying it. So I gave him, my scenario, and basically we did the math, and it wasn't a good number. The owner of their property, he just wouldn't come down low enough to make it a good number for an investor or a wholesaler. Okay, but my client gave me some really good information and saved me a lot of time, because I was going, back and forth with the owner on the price, and if I hadn't called my client, my notary client, I would have wasted a lot of time with this particular owner. So a couple of days ago, and that was just like 4 days ago. So on, I think, Sunday evening, which would have been 2 days later, I get a text message or missed call from my client again, the real estate investor, and this was actually his wife. I think their phone numbers are under one account, a family plan, because both of their numbers come up as her name on the phone. It comes up as her name. So I thought it was him calling me back, because his when he calls me or when I call him, it always comes up under his wife's name, like she's the name on the family plan. However, it was actually his wife. She had called me because they had bought a property, they had bought an investment property. Him, his wife were business partners. They partnered up with another couple and bought an investment property, and they were going to sign in one of the local title offices. However, the business partner's wife, one of the business partners had COVID, and the title company, obviously didn't want them to come inside and do the closing. So they called me and asked if I could, they told me the situation and asked if I could do the closing. Now, this actually wound up being a multiple split closing. The first investor, my primary client, my primary contact, signed in the title office because he's working, he's busy, so he signed in the title office, assuming he wasn't going to be able to meet me at the next location. His wife, who works during the day, met me in a town not too far from where we live, and I notarized her signatures. Then we drove over to their partner's house, who lived about 5 minutes from the Dunkin' Donuts, and because the wife was recovering from COVID, we signed outside with mask on and social distance, the whole 9 yards. So it was great and then in the fee they paid me $150 for a split signing, which was about right because we basically had to go to 2 different locations, and the appointment took about an hour and a half. Multiple signers. The documents were kind of laid out in a confusing manner, and so I quoted the fee, assuming that was a good fee, and it turned out to be appropriate. But at the same time, it basically could have been 2 signings at $100 each per location, but since the client had given me such good information on Friday, immediately I thought in my mind to give them a discount. Okay, so I say this all the time in my videos, guys. As a notary public, loan signing agent, mobile notary, always offer professional, consistent, and detailed service. Had I been a crappy notary, a crappy loan signing agent, that first appointment, she would have never thought to call me back. I didn't know these people from a hill of beans, okay? And in the meantime, I had just coincidentally texted him about my deal and called him about my deal on the previous Friday, and they decided to use me as their closing loan signing agent for their closing today. So it all worked out. Relationships. I actually also am noticing in my business, about a full year later, I'm starting to get calls from some of the same clients that I closed last year. Similar loans, like property tax loans. Some of these people refinanced those loans, so now I'm getting that same business again because they're refinancing from the previous year, and including this particular person who is a real estate investor. I've had other people that I've used that have called me in the past, or I was assigned to by signing services, are now calling me directly when they have notary needs. And this is not a new phenomena. Many people talk about repeat business in their videos, so pay close attention to that. And as I said, professional, consistent, detailed service will get you repeat business. But that's not even the main idea of this video. The main idea of this video, as you may have been watching some of my previous videos, I am 2 feet deep now into real estate investing. Myself and my cousins are my partners. DTA is the name of our partnership. DTA. We're working on wholesaling. We're working on looking at some unimproved land. We've also initially, when we first started talking about partnering up together, investment properties, rental properties. So we're building our business. We're actually building a customer relationship management system right now to automate our process as much as possible, because we're always real busy, and I'll talk about that in another video. So while I'm signing today outside on the hood of my car, and it took a while because the documents were laid out kind of weird, and there was multiple signatures in odd places to make sure that nothing was missed. All the counties and the dates had to be changed because we were in a different location than they were originally scheduled. They were having maybe let's say the whole signing in the second couple's front yard driveway took about maybe 10 minutes, give or take 10 minutes. They talked about the closing, and this was a rental property, so they were talking about getting the contractors on site, how long it would take to get materials, funding, things of that nature. And then they started to go into a very long conversation about some virtual assistants that they hired. I'm not sure where they were, but the virtual assistants weren't producing. They weren't producing good results. They weren't producing good appointments. They were paying them based on the number of phone calls they made, but and there's a word for it. I can't think of the term right now. Anyway, they weren't producing good results. Okay, so they had that long conversation, and the whole time I'm listening, because of course these are all things that me and my partners have been talking about: automating our systems. Whether we do the legwork ourselves, hire people, paying bonuses for leads, things of that nature, and amongst some other things. And then at the end of the session, at the end of the closing, after I double checked all the documents, got my check, gave the client a receipt, they all immediately were just very friendly and polite, courteous to me. They invited me to their they have their own little local real estate investment group that they invited me to. They said it's on the 25th, which is a Saturday morning at 10 in the morning. They gave me the location and they invited me. And I obviously asked them to save my number in their phones. And then prior to that, we also talked about, when I first arrived, the second couple, the second set of investors, bringing me the IDs to the car. And my client told him, yeah, she's interested in investing as well. And he goes, bring me some properties. I said, well, we'll talk about that after I finish with your closing. So that, always try to stay focused during the closing. Sidebar conversations are always a distraction. But sadly, I was already distracted because I'm listening to their conversation while I was double checking and triple checking the documents. So this one client, back from a couple of months ago, from a signing service, has led to multiple opportunities for me, not just the $150 closing today, but an invitation to a real estate investment meetup, which is great because now I'm in there learning. They asked me to bring my partners with me to the meeting. He said, bring as many people as you want or can, because we're trying to grow. The more of us in here, the more money we can make, the more networking we can do, which is great. As well as just hearing the dialogue and the conversation between 4 experienced investors and partners as well, and how they were discussing spending money for leads and how they would handle the situation with the lead generators that they were using, the virtual agents. All of that was good information for me, just to hear the dialogue and the way they the language that they spoke, so to speak, the vocabulary, the language that they spoke, all valuable information to me. And the best part about it, I didn't have to print any documents or drop anything at FedEx today. So it's a pretty good lick for an hour and a half plus driving time. I say all that to say, guys, it's still a good idea to be in the loan signing agent business, to be a mobile notary. Yes, you may not make the huge, short-term gain that we did during quarantine with refis and lots of orders being sent out because of low interest rates. However, there's knowledge to be gained by just being a loan signing agent. The education that you gain from being around real estate transactions, being around investors, buyers, sellers, repeat business. Those of us that stay consistent, do professional and detailed work, will be here when things start to pick up. And I'm quoting someone else, another YouTuber. Someone's always buying and selling a home out there, either as a homestead, primary residence, or as an investment property or land or whatever, real estate. And these guys were talking, they're talking about their next investment while I'm notarizing their documents. It's still a good idea to be a notary public, loan signing agent, and mobile notary, obviously, as today's example, because they were concerned that I wouldn't want to go out and do this this signing because the client had COVID, and I basically told him we did this all through quarantine, and unfortunately, sadly for the people that suffered through COVID, but we did this all throughout quarantine. I had so many outdoor signings, it's just normal, and they didn't realize that, and they appreciated it. And I'm assuming in the future they'll call me when they need a mobile notary because it works. It worked twice, and so many opportunities, guys. I just had to share that. An interesting signing. Sorry about the bad lighting. Sorry about the driving video, but again, I got to get this stuff off my mind as quickly as I experience it so that I can give it to you as close to real time as possible. My email address is in the description of this video, guys. Hit me up if you have any questions. I'll be happy to help you as much as I can. Also, drop a comment, question in the comment section of this video. Let me know if there's anything you think I can help you with. Answer any questions that you might have if you're getting started as a mobile notary, loan signing agent, getting started with wholesaling, getting started with investment. How do you do it? What are the steps? How do I find money to invest in properties, down payments, funding, lenders, buyers? Oh, and I'll talk about this. I'm just going to wait and do another video. I've already now acquired 4 buyers on my buyers list, and as of Friday of last week, or before Friday of last week, I had 0. 4 buyers. I'll talk about that in a separate video. It is the Country Notary. Y'all have a great day.